Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike, the creator of the One Life podcast, believes most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike wants you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast, it inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number 1 NE Life. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the One Life Podcast. I am Mike MIC Reed, and here we talk about positive psychology while taking care of our well-being and telling your story, because everybody has an amazing story. And I am in studio with Miss Nina Reed. I've been waiting for this one, y'all. And I've actually had a lot of people saying they're going to tune into the show because I told them you was going to be here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But Miss Nina Reed is my 2 beautiful kids' mother. It's my first wife. And she calls me something else. She don't like to say ex. Because of why?
Because you're the father of my children.
Don't be afraid of the mic.
Oh, we have a saying, eat the mic. Yeah, because you're the father of my children.
No, I know that. But I like how you told somebody one day that you just don't like the word ex because it's just negative. Like, it's
negative, meaning that you're no longer in that person's life. And so
right.
Since you are, because you're the father of my children, that's how I tell people who you are connected in my life.
Right. And I love that about you. And obviously, we're still friends. Just, she's like, yeah. But what I was going to say, you just threw me off with that smirk. No, what I was going to say is that I tell a lot of people about you, obviously. Like, I just introduced you to somebody. Like, I always talk about you. I always talk highly about you, too. Because I'm actually very proud of you, very supportive of you. I am. And but just from the time that, we got divorced, you've grown so much. Like, you're such in a way different space that you are now. And I'm proud of the woman that you've become.
Thank you.
So I wanted to say that.
Thank you.
But I think I was talking to somebody about you the other day. Because I knew this day was coming, so I've been talking about you a lot lately. But, damn, yeah, we're going on like 40 years of knowing each other, right? Is it 35, 40?
I'm not mathing today at all.
Yeah, girl math.
Girl math.
Whatever. Anyways, thank you for being here. Nina did reach out to me when I put out that post about relationships. She was like, oh, I might be interested. And at first I was like, eh. But then I was like, no, you know what? Just because I know where you are in your space and you don't like negative stuff, I was like, no, this is actually good. Because I get it a lot about, like whenever I talk about, marriage or just anything, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still good friends with my first wife. Like, we talk all the time. They be like, really? Because it's unheard of.
Yeah, it is.
Most people that get divorced, they just hate each other for whatever reason. And it's crazy because even lately, I'm always like, but that's kind of, to me, that's weird. Like, I get, like, people don't get along, things happen. But at one point, you loved this person. Like, they was the world to you. And because it didn't work out, like, why is it just so much hate? Like, I get it, like, if it was a domestic violence thing, they beat you up or cheated, but I don't know. I still feel like the hate part is just still, like, kind of crazy to me, especially when there's kids involved.
Yeah.
Because typically when someone gets a divorce, you still have kids. And when there's hate in that, the kids are the ones that suffers.
Absolutely.
Which most people, that's the part I really just don't understand. It's like, you guys don't realize, like, the kids are the ones that are suffering the most. So you're thinking you're hurting your ex-partner or whatnot, but you're actually hurting the kids. It's that whole secondary trauma.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree, because I remember during our divorce, I didn't talk to you.
Yeah, you did.
And I noticed how our kids chose not to talk to you. And it really hurt me that they were not talking to you because you were their dad. And I had to explain to them that the relationship was different. Mm-hmm. And so I chose to talk to you, show them that I was capable of having a relationship with you, even whatever we went through, and just confirming that they were not the reason for our divorce.
Right.
And that they should want, have a relationship with their dad. And so when I started speaking with you more, I felt like they felt comfortable in not having to choose a side, because I definitely didn't want them to choose a side.
Right. And I think when I tell people that as well, I always say that I think you and I made it a point to let our kids know that just because things don't work out, it doesn't mean like we have to hate each other and all that. And I believe we did a great job at that. But I mean, we all make mistakes and all that, but I think for the most part, like we did a great job with that.
I agree.
Yeah. For the boys.
I'm nerdy now, in case you don't know. Yeah, I'm nerdy and joyful. So, yeah.
So, what do you think? What do you think is the cause of that? Because obviously, my show, we always talk about adversities and, anything underneath the mental health umbrella and behavior. Like recently, because I'm studying behavior more and more. I talked to you a few weeks ago telling you that I want to go back to school, get my master's, and on behavior science. But that to me, I believe that comes from this is a generational thing, right?
What is a generational thing?
Like people when they get a divorce, they hate each other, and they still have these behavior issues. That's more of it's a generational thing. It's kind of like how they was raised, their environment, what the generations before them probably went through.
I don't know. Now I'm thinking maybe it's a cultural thing, because on my dad's side, I know there's people who have divorced and they have an awesome relationship. With
Awesome?
Their awesome relationship. Are you making fun of my words? Healthy relationship, if you want. But
No, because it sounded like you said something else.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, relationship. Like it's co-parenting and just being able to get along. Like you said, we don't know the circumstances. It could be different too. Why
Right.
certain people don't want to have that.
Okay, so that's interesting that you say it's cultural.
Well, because you said it's generational, and
Yeah.
so, in generations like our dad's generation, I know people who, my grandmother was probably married 3 times, and she talked to all her exes.
Right.
So, and now the only one was like my mom and uncles and aunts' dad. So,
You talking about Dale?
yeah,
Yeah, but that's not on your dad's side though.
yeah, but you don't know everyone on my dad's side. I didn't even know. Like, I hear stuff.
Right.
I hear my cousins say, I appreciate that my mom and dad were able.
Okay,
Because
so
then they don't have to choose, like, who's going to be at the weddings, who's going to be at the birthdays.
right. So let's go back for a minute, because I get this a lot. People always ask me like, what nationality you are. So I always,
I'm American.
but you're a Creole.
I'm Creole. That's a culture.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is a culture, but isn't there different types of Creole? Because I remember you and your dad had that conversation one time.
Oh, my God. You're going to put.
Yeah, because it is.
We
'cause-
joke, but Creoles are black. We're African, Spaniard, and French.
Right.
And so some Creoles think they don't want to identify as black.
Right.
But we're still black. Just like we have Spaniards, but there's black Spaniards, and we're like black Spaniards.
It's like from the French side, though, right?
They're more from the Spaniard side.
Okay,
Paternal, and
where did the French part come in?
my paternal grandfather is French.
Right, but isn't there like, because that day y'all was talking about this, I was really paying attention, even though it was years ago and I forgot. But I remember one of you saying that, because, oh my God, I'm not going to make no sense right now because it has been a while. Isn't there like a French type of Spanish? The Spanish side? Like there's a French side of it? No?
I'm not
Okay,
sure.
never mind then. We can figure
Are you
that.
talking about the language? So we speak French Creole,
Yes.
broken Spanish, and French.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was talking about then.
Yes. That's their language. It's French Creole from Haiti, actually.
Okay, so where do you fall into that?
American black. I don't.
This is why we still get along. If you can follow this conversation.
You know how Cubans want to say they're not black? They're black. Like when I went to Dominican Republic, they
Yeah.
all thought I was Dominican Republic.
Right.
And Dominican Republics will say they're not black, but they're African, and African is black. So people just want to be different. I don't know why. It is what it is.
Right.
But that's what I'm on the other side from Haiti, so that's probably why I look like them.
Right. And you said Dominican Republic don't want to identify as black either? Or
Some of them, they say they're not black. They're Dominican.
they're Dominican.
But African is black.
Right.
And so how African, the country is who you are. Black and white is just a color. We can't be a color.
Yeah.
So.
I think the whole Dominican and Haitian, because I didn't know this until we was just there. Like, we was just there in Dominican a few months ago for my niece's wedding. I didn't realize that the Dominican and Haitian, they're all on the same island. The island is split in two.
Yes.
So there's a Dominican side and then the Haitian side. So it's two different countries on one island.
Yes.
Which is crazy to me. I don't even know how that works, because it does work. But they have problems. And I remember when I went out one night, I was at the bar talking to this guy who was actually from Haitian, but he was on the Dominican side and he was at the bar, and I was kind of getting his perspective of how it worked out there, right? And he was like, and he travels a lot. So he was like, oh, it's very simple. Because he asked me where I was from. I told him California. He's like, it's very simple. It's the same. He said it's the exact same thing how California and Mexico is together. So you have all these people that come over here. And so he says the same thing. Like, the California people hate that the Latin Mexican side comes over here, most of them. He said, so the Dominicans, they hate that the Haitian side comes over. But
Wow.
he said that it's the same, like, you know how most people want to get rid of all the Latins and the Mexicans out here, which I don't, because you guys know I love my Latin side of my culture. But if we do that, it's like, who's going to do their jobs, right? So it's the same in the Dominican Republic. All the Haitians do all the jobs that the Dominicans don't want to do. So if you get rid of them, there's like, and that's what the point he was trying to make. So he's like, if they get rid of us, who's going to do all the jobs?
Interesting.
Because the Dominicans, they don't do all the labor, the contract, the constructions, all this stuff. They don't do none of that. That's why they said it's about 1.5 million Haitians that cross the border every day to do all this work, but then they go back. So they're trying to stop them from crossing over, but then it was like, well, who's going to do all the work? So he said the same thing, like how we have the same problem with Mexico.
It's everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's crazy. Anyways, back to your French.
Not sure how we got there.
Your French Creole. I don't know either.
Yeah.
You brought a Dominican Republic, so I wanted to tell that story.
Clear.
But no, just how I guess everything is different. Everybody, like you said, don't want to identify, and so I brought it up because the Dominicans, I think that's why they probably don't want to identify as black, because of the Haitian part, Haitian country. I don't know.
I think it's because
I made that
if
up.
we want to be real, I think it's because society has made black bad.
Yeah.
When you talk about black people, it's always negative, so no one wants to connect and identify with the negative.
Yeah.
So I always say I'm proud to be black. Even if it's harder and more challenges, God knew I can handle it.
So let me ask you this then, since we're talking around the racial thing, and then we get back to the relationship thing. But I want to kind of talk about this because last week. So anytime I do my show, I always go to Lucky Luke's. Most people know this. So shout out to my girl Sam, who owns Lucky Luke's across the street. And I go have a beer and just kind of chill before I do my show, right? So last week I was at the bar, and the lady came up to me and started talking, and I had met her in the school one day, and I could tell she had one too many drinks. Because she just got laid off one, which is pretty sad. But she was like talking to me, but everything was just so negative. So in the middle of it, she was like, wait, let me go get my drink. She just invited herself back to sit next to me. I'm just like, dude, I come here to relax because I'm about to go do a show. And as much as like, I love to conversate, and everybody know that. But I like having healthy conversations. So, but everything she was saying was just so negative. Mind you, she's like a light-skinned black person. So everything was just like negatives about negative, blah, blah. And I'm just like, so at one point she said something, and I'm just like, but it's not racial, because she was blaming something on the black culture. And I was like, it's not racial. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, because most people, they always say that, like how they say Asian women don't know how to drive, or Mexican people do this, black people do this. I'm like, I don't know why people always make things racial. It's not racial. Like, it's just ignorant people, period. Like, you can take, every race has something ignorant about them. You have every race that has a bad part. You know what I'm saying? Every race has their own bad people. So it's like, so it's not always racial. It's not, oh, black people always do this, white people always do this. No, it's just ignorant people. Because I can find that same problem in every culture.
Good point, but usually when they say it, it's on point. Just saying.
You're supposed to be helping me making a point here. I mean, I'm not saying, and you're right. Whenever someone's talking about somebody, yeah, it is on point that person probably did do that. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that it's not because they're black.
Yeah.
They're just ignorant or dumb. It's not because of their race, because you're a strong black woman. You don't go do stupid shit. So it's not black people. And I guess that's the thing. Like, they always say black people. It's like, no, all black people not like that. All white people not like that. All Mexican people is not like that. So it's not, that's why I say it's not a racial thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, no more racial stuff. We're going back to the relationships. So going back to how we're talking about, is it a cultural thing? You said it's a cultural thing. I said it's a generational thing. So, because most behaviors are from a generation, because no one's ever taught, the next generation on how to behave.
And that's why I was saying I can't say it's generational, because I'm not in the same generation as someone born in 1950 or 1960. So if I'm using my example of my dad, who's in a different generation, who
Right.
I have seen be able, like, I was told that my dad really didn't talk to my mom, but I would never know that as a kid, because every time I seen them together, it was cordial and they weren't fighting.
Right.
So that's the example I would have used. That I see my mom and dad do that. Why can't I do that
Right.
with the person I have kids with? Versus having someone, versus if they were always fighting, of course I wouldn't have that healthy relationship. But they are in a generation before me.
Right.
So I'm saying maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I'm saying it's cultural, or maybe more so, better word would be the environment that you were raised in.
It is the environment, but you just proved my point.
No.
What you saw was them always being cordial. So that's what you was learning. That's what you was taking in. Mm-hmm. So you did take something in from the generation before you. Right? So when I say generational, it doesn't mean negative or positive. It's just,
No, maybe
you
I
learn.
misunderstood, because you said we don't do that because it's generation.
Oh, no.
That's why I was saying, I don't know if it's a generational thing that most couples don't do it, because I have examples of
Right.
different generations
But,
that do.
right, no, and maybe I did say it wrong.
There's no right or wrong. It just wasn't clear.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. See, this is why. But no, yes, I think you learn from your previous generation, whether it's negative or positive. You that's how you was raised. So it is also your environment. So however your environment was, whoever raised you, that's how you were. Just like the book I was reading, the Bradshaw, and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, right? Because when you was born, everything was given to you. Like, your name was given to you, your beliefs, your way of life, everything's given to you. So yeah, that comes from that generation. They are giving you what they was taught. And mind you, there's something that I learned in positive psychology, is that the generations before us, they didn't have all the tools that we have now. So it's not saying they did it wrong. They just wasn't given the tools that we have now.
Right.
So, I was talking to somebody about her mom, and she loves her mom. And even though her mom didn't do everything that we would do today as incorrect, her mom did the best she had with what she had, right? So you can't fault her for not having the tools, and no one taught her how to do certain things. We obviously have a lot of more tools. We have all this positive stuff that we're doing now. So if we do it wrong, then you can like blame us because we have the tools at our disposal. You know what I'm saying? Like I know this one person who doesn't want to go to therapy. She doesn't want to, use any of the tools. All she want to do is pray all day, which is great. Not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but you also have to do the work.
Yeah.
Like most people think they could just pray to God and God's just gonna snap his finger, everything's gonna be okay. And it's like no, like praying it's a step and it's great to do. I do it, but he still wants you to do the work. And now that we have the tools, and if you don't use the tools, now that's your fault. It's not your fault that how you was raised, when you was raised and what was given to you. But now that you're an adult and now that you have these choices, because everything's a choice at this point, once you become a certain age, everything becomes a choice. So if you choose not to use the tools and choose not to get help, that's your fault. So if you have all these behavior issues and you're pointing fingers and blaming people, that's like, no, that's your fault because you're not getting better. Like you're choosing not to be better.
Right.
Right. Like I just was listening to something earlier today, and this guy asked this girl what was her favorite quote, and she said, "What you're not changing, you're choosing."
Absolutely, because you can change every moment.
Exactly. It just takes a second.
Is a choice. Yep.
Yeah. So, do you agree with that?
I do.
Talk about it.
I do. I do it all day.
No.
You choose to be happy, sad. I would say, don't let someone dictate how your day is going to be. You choose. And you can shift. If you're having a bad day, you can either choose to sit in that bad day or you can shift and choose something different and move on from it. I'm trying to think of some
well, let me ask you
examples.
this. So let's go back a little bit. You're now doing leadership like training, right? Like you completed yours.
It's a transformation training. Yes. And I've learned so much about myself.
Okay, right. So so you've already done all your training.
I've done my training.
So now you're a coach.
I'm training every day.
Okay, but
yeah.
But I mean you went through the courses already.
I went through the course and I've chose back in to be in contribution to the future leaders in the program. So every day is a choice.
But but now you're a coach, correct? Or
yeah, I can say like it's a coach.
like you're a coach now, because now, like you just said, you now are training other people, future leaders, right? And I guess I say leadership because is the whole program a leadership program or is it just a transformation?
No, it's not. So there's 3 courses. The first course is self-discovery. So you get to learn about things about yourself that hold you back, things that you're holding on to. And then there's advance, which in your self-discovery, you should have learned what you wanted to let go. They give you tools as well. But advance is all about putting those tools in action. So they give you exercises to show you how to get rid of it. So like for me, like even being on here is big because I don't always want to sit and talk and be the center of attention or nothing like that. So when I told them, they're like, wow, okay, you're coming out using your voice. I always sit and I'm quiet.
And mind you, I gave her a whole month to prepare for this show. And when I called her last week, I was like, okay, you're next. And she was like, next for what? I was like, you're on the next show. She was like, already? I was like, dude, you just had a whole month.
And this whole month I've been busy, but yeah. Usually I don't use my voice because I would think that people didn't want to hear what I had to say. Or people are just journaling aloud. I'm very soft-spoken, so they're always telling me to yell. So I'm like, why do I got to yell? But I learned that I wouldn't use my voice, and I didn't stand up for myself. So in this program, I have learned how to use my voice, what that looks like, because in my work, I advocate. So I can't sit and be quiet. Like, I got to speak up and advocate for others. So they have put me in that position. So I went to this whole thing of why I didn't use my voice. So just saying, growing up, kids were to be seen and not heard, so I always stayed quiet. You know my dad. So my dad is always right. Even when he's wrong, he's right. And I feel like I've just fought so much for his attention to know that he raised a woman who can use her voice, who is smart.
I love her dad. By the way, I think that's where I get it from, because I tell people all the time, and I just had this conversation the other night. I said I'm about 85 to 90% right all the time. And people laugh at me when I say that. So the other night when I was explaining it to somebody, I was like, you got to hear my theory first. And then once you hear my theory about why I'm 85, 90% always right, then it'll make sense.
Why are you 85 to 95% always
Okay.
right?
So I only talk about, so it goes back to one of my favorite Buddha quotes is, when you talk, you only talk of what you know. But if you listen, you might learn something, right? So I only talk of what I know. If you was having a conversation with somebody, let's say about how to build airplane engines, I know nothing about that. So I'm not going to jump in that conversation. I'm not going to even give my opinion. Even though I can have an opinion, like most people, everybody has an opinion, I won't jump in. So I won't jump into anything, even though I have an opinion about it. I won't jump into that conversation because I'll 100% be wrong, right? So I stay away from those conversations. I'm only going to jump into a conversation or use my opinion about things that I know. So that puts me at a high rate of being right once I'm speaking.
So you have a fear of being wrong.
No, it's not a fear.
Yeah, it's a fear of being wrong because you don't want to talk about it. Because so if you're not 100% and you're 85%, there's a gap, and that gap is what's in that gap from not you participating in that conversation?
Wait, what? Say it again.
So you're 85% right in the conversation.
I mean, I will go more towards 90, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll give you 90. You're 90% know what's going on in that conversation.
Yeah.
So there in the gap is 10%.
Yeah.
What's holding you back from being 100% to participate?
Oh, because
in
nobody's 100% right about anything. There's always room for growth.
Something's holding you back.
No, there's always growth into something. Because
hold on. You're not listening. Because there's a gap.
You asked me a question.
But you're not listening. You're not answering the question.
I'm trying to listen.
No.
I'm trying to answer the question.
It's going to be complicated because I'm speaking a different lingo. But 90%, if you're 90% in that conversation, even if you don't know what's going on, you have a 10% gap that's keeping you quiet.
Right.
What's in that 10%? So it's like fear, not worthy. There's something that's not having you 100% in that conversation.
Because I can be speaking of something, even though I know I'm right, there's still a different perspective. So you can have a whole different perspective of it, and you can still be right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. So that's where that 10% is.
But what does that explain? That is that self-judgment? You don't want to be judged?
No,
it's not
it's perspective. Like right now,
it's okay. You're not.
No, right.
So my fear of not speaking up is probably because I'm going to be judged because I don't know.
No, I give myself 90%. And there's this other 10% because of perspective. Because I'm not.
But where does that perspective come from? Something holds you back.
Understanding.
But who said you have to understand in that conversation?
No, it's me understanding that I know there's probably a different perspective of it that I don't know about, and somebody can expand on it and be like, "Oh, okay, I see that. I see your point."
Yeah, but then that's at that point you're having a conversation. If you're just sitting there quiet and not participating in the conversation, what is going on through your mind that you're not participating? It's probably you don't want to be judged.
I don't want to be wrong.
There it is. Because you have fear of being
wrong.
It's okay, but that's what it is.
So that's two different things. That's two different things. No, I get what you're saying now, but you're mixing it right now. So the 90% of me that when I am right, I am jumping into those conversations. I'm just 90% right. So there is a 10% chance that I could be wrong or off a little bit, right? That's what that is. But by me saying that I won't jump into the conversation, that's me saying, oh, I'm 100% going to be wrong. But yeah, because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I don't like failure. No one likes failure. But I'm not going to speak on something that I don't know about. Like I don't know how to build airplane engines. So why would I even give my opinion about that? I only know the first thing to do about building an airplane.
I know, but why?
Because I never studied it.
I know. So I did this abundance and prosperity workshop.
Okay, teach me.
I was just lucky.
Teach me.
But they just had us stand up, gave us a topic, and told us to speak about it.
Okay.
So you would just be quiet, or would you be confident that you can pretend like you even know what you're talking about?
No. Okay. So in a scenario like that, and I think, It's the context.
Like right now, when you called me, and I mean, you didn't call me, but I was like, hey, what is your relationship topic about? What if you just said, just come in and we're going to talk about
Well, that's what I did
anything? Right. So I had a choice of either, I don't know what we were going to talk about, but I still showed up. Or I could say, should I go? Because I'm only like 50% sure what he's going to talk about.
Because you still been in a relationship. We was married for many years.
I don't know what you were going to talk about.
No, I know, but you still have input on it because you've been through it.
But you don't know what I'm going to come in here and say.
I don't.
Right.
I don't. This can go south real fast. It can't.
But that's what I'm saying. I could have came here. Remember, I was like, are you going to have questions? What kind of questions you're going to ask?
I don't.
But you still like show up.
I know, but I know you.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm very confident. I know you. So I know you have an opinion. I know you have a positive opinion. I know that you have obviously have experience. So you have input. It's your input. It's not about anybody else's input. It's about your input. So like the question you asked me, if we was doing a workshop and they just threw out a topic out there, no, I wouldn't. I would participate. I wouldn't stay quiet. That's when I would give my opinion about what I think or believe I know about that subject, right?
Right. If you're right or wrong.
Right. But I'm learning right now. But I'll be learning in that situation.
Right. So it's okay.
But in general, if I'm right. And I guess that's where you have to, again, where I choose to talk to people, right? Like, for instance, the girl at Lucky Lou last week, right? I chose to end that conversation because it wasn't a healthy conversation. Everything out of her mouth was negative. I didn't want to be in that conversation. I could have gave a bunch of opinions, and it would just been all bad. I chose not to participate in that, right? Because I like to be in healthy conversations where I can learn something.
You don't think your ways of being could have changed her mood into happy?
I didn't have time for that. That would have took me all day.
Takes 10 seconds.
No, I was try. Look, I go across the street before my show to put myself in a good space to have a great show. And I'm telling you, when I came over here, my guest was over here, and I was setting up. We was talking, and I kept losing my train of thought because I kept thinking about that. And I was like, I'm sorry. I said, somebody just threw me off. But see, and that's why I try not to talk to nobody when I go over there. I sit at the bar by myself, put myself in a good space so I can come out with a good show. She threw me off.
That's a strange place to go find solitude in a bar where many people go to have a drink and conversate. You want to find solitude in that.
It's 2:00 in the afternoon.
People drink.
No, I know, and people be there. But most people, I know most people over here on the boulevard, and most people that come up to me, they always have some positive say. They always say, oh, hey, I know you from your podcast. You do it, it made it a positive conversation. So I don't mind that. I don't want to talk at a bar with some drunk person that they're going through something. I mean, unless I have time.
The people go to the bar.
I know.
To drink.
So,
and the bartender's a therapist.
So, right.
Right, okay.
I used to work at a bar, so I know that. So I understand that, but I wasn't working at the bar at the time. So they wasn't going to tip me at the end of the day. I was just trying to put myself in a good space or just to chill out because, I leave the school. I know I'm on summer vacation right now, but, last week I was still in the school. So I'm dealing with all these kids and their behaviors. So right after school, I go over there and I kind of like wind down, just want to chill, get ready for the show. So I really don't go there to have therapy conversations.
Okay.
Anyways, what's the name of the thing that you do, the training, leadership training? The
MITT training.
What is it?
Master in Transformational Training.
Master in Transformational Training. Master or masters?
Master. I don't think there's an S.
Okay, master.
You know how y'all black people add an S to everything.
Why you?
I think it's just master.
Why you? Okay. Anyway, how's that going now? How's the coaching side of it going?
For me, it's good because I still get to learn. Mm-hmm. I learn more about me and I'll take out the more because I can't be more than anything, but I'm learning about myself. Things that do hold me back, where I'm strong at. I have a group of friends that hold me high, as we say, like we don't call each other out or forth. We hold each other high as a reminder. So as me, as a senior program manager at my job, it really supports me in how to show up at work,
Okay.
show up in my life for myself.
And okay, so this is good. What do you do for work?
I am a senior program manager. I manage staff
Why are you laughing?
because that's what I do. But actually what I love is that we house the unhoused, and it's permanent supportive housing. And our goal is to support them in maintaining their homes, like getting used to having a lease, following rules, learning how to pay their rent on time, getting them connected to jobs. Some are going back to school. We connect them with their family. We do like daily activities with them because some of them don't even have family. So really just advocating for them and pouring back into them, having them see that, yeah, they had a hiccup in life, but they still matter.
Okay. So how does what you learned in your transformation help you with work? Like what are some of the tools that you learned that you take on at your job?
Using my voice and not really caring if my staff likes me or not. I always have this feeling that I wanted to be liked. But now I know it's come to my job. If they like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't. We still got to work to do. Having my staff understand why they're there. Are they really passionate about it? Because some of them are there just for a check, and if they are, I show them that's cool. Your clients see that too. Like your clients know if you're coming here just for a check or if you're really passionate about your job.
Oh, so you kind of have the same problems I have.
I won't call it a problem. It's a challenge.
Okay. Same challenges I have because as a lead mentor, I obviously have mentors that are under me, and so I have a team, and I say that all the time too. Like we have a lot of mentors that just come for the check, and our client is the school. So you have the principal, the vice principal, and admins and the teachers. Like all of them are our clients, and yeah, they see it. They see it every day, and ever since like I'm at the school now that I'm at. I had to come there, retrain that team, and even switch some people out because the first team, it just wasn't working. And so even though, like, my last day, the end of the school year was this past Thursday, everybody on the last day was complimenting me on how well I did with my team and how I helped turn that school around. They was telling me like, hey, I hope you guys are coming back next year. Bring that same team because you guys are a big help here. So it felt good once just hearing all that. But that's what I've always tried to teach my team. Like, hey, yes, we're here for the students, but at the same time, there's still a business aspect to this mentorship program. Like we still have a client to please, and it's their school, so they are our clients. So we got to listen to what they want as well. Even though we have a whole program written out on how to deal with these kids and their behaviors and all that, we still have to listen to our client on what they need and how we can support them with the students as well. But some people just didn't get that. They always, like I've heard some mentors just be like, oh, I'm here for the kids, and that's it. No, you're not just here for the kids.
You should ask them, what does that mean, you're here for the kids?
Well, we have a lot. We go through a lot of training, and
I know, but you can go through training. But
no, but my point is,
like I'm gonna ask you the question: why are you there for the kids? Right.
No, I can answer that question. It's funny that you went off to be the host like a minute ago. So he was just listening to me.
Because you're not,
No, I know.
In this program, I also learned.
I knew you was gonna get into talking mode once I got to, asking what you do and. Your job and all that.
No, because I'm asking you a question. And
remember, I'm a great producer.
You are.
Thank
you. I know how to go from, forgot what it's called, but controller, supporter, analyzer, promoter. Mm-hmm. I know how to go through all those stages. I know you do. But I learned to get an answer out of you, I got to be direct.
I know, but you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish. You never let me finish. I didn't say finish. I said finish.
No, because you didn't answer the question. I was like, you should ask them. And then you said we.
I know, but you didn't let me finish the whole thing.
The whole thing. I forgot.
So when I
got a story to tell.
Yeah, I do have a story. That's why it's called It's Your Story. So like I was saying, we go through a lot of training, and one of our trainings, they had asked us that, what is being a mentor mean to you? So it's kind of the same question. So they've all answered that question. I've answered that question.
Okay, so as their leader,
Yes.
do you remind them of that reason? Like if they're doing something
No, actually, you
that
know
doesn't
what? I
match,
haven't.
then you say, "Hey, Mike, what did you tell me why you're here for kids?" Like sometimes you got to remind them.
Yeah. No, and no, because I'm not, because the people that I'm speaking of is what I hear, because I'm a lead, so I hear a lot of stuff. But I'm not with those teams, those people. My team is tight. That's why, like, everybody love us. I probably got, and I was told from my manager that I have the best team out there. So it's just other things I hear from other teams. But no, I haven't asked them that because I'm not with them. So.
Or maybe I don't know if you talk to their other leaders.
No,
Tell them.
No, that's a great idea, but
connect. Because sometimes what's big is connection.
Yeah.
And this generation, this now, we're afraid to connect.
We are. This
We're
generation
afraid to ask those deeper questions. We're shallow. I've learned how shallow I have been up until now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. I've never asked them, and I never asked them that. So I don't know. But that's a great point.
I always ask my team, like, "What's your vision? What's your vision for our team? Why are you here? And what does that look like for you?"
Right.
Because I always, like someone said in the interview, they always say, "I love people. I want to be around people." So I always say, "Tell me more about that."
Okay.
And she said, "People." I'm like, "What does that look like for you?" Because everyone in the interview, that's your answer.
Right.
But what does that look like for you?
Yeah. I do ask that. Like, that's one of the, I think that's a lot of leaders' favorite question now is like, what does that look like? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm always asking someone that when they say certain things, I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like? Like, I want to know your vision of that. That's where we start. But I asked you about your tools and stuff because, like, I see that on social media, you do a lot of things with your teams.
So, yeah, before we keep, I'm not, like, so MITT training you probably never heard because we don't market.
Right.
We don't do any of that. It's all about our ways of being and our doing. It's how people get interested. Like, oh, noticed you've changed. I noticed this, like what's working for you now. So
Yeah,
that's
so
how, like, I'm the walking billboard, but I don't go around like promoting.
I truly believe you are because, dude, I can sit here and do the next 2 hours on telling y'all how Nina really is. How she, well, not really is, let me rephrase that. How she used to be. Yeah. We can sit here and talk for hours about that. Because now when I see her on these videos, I'm like, no, because she's right. You would have never caught her in front of a microphone or a camera. Now she's on social media. Like I saw the one you just did where you was going to each office and you were singing an old song.
Yeah, yakety yak, don't.
Yeah, yakety yak, don't. Yeah. I was just like, what? Like I would have never pictured, imagined you doing that. But it was fun. It made me laugh, and it was like, oh wow, it was fun though. It was a fun activity. That was an activity I'm sure you was doing.
Yeah. So our team, we all picked a song for each other, and so they said, create a dance to it. So everyone did a dance, and I was like, no, we're creating this to create joy. So I'm like, I'm going to go around my office to each staff member and record it. So luckily, we can hear the music and record at the same time now. So
Right.
I was like, hey, this is a cool video. I'm going to post it. Right. I would have just saved it on my phone.
So what made you pick that activity?
I didn't pick it. We picked it as like a team.
Okay.
So like say we came to our coaching call, because I still get coached, and if it's really heavy, we're like, woo, this is heavy here. How can you create joy or happiness? Like, what are you doing in the world to create this? And then someone just said, hey, so sometimes we'll say do videos. Someone was like, do cartwheels. You guys should see my cartwheels. They're terrible, but I'm better now because I was convinced after that first video.
I don't think I've seen that video.
Yeah, I did not post it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, yeah, because I probably read
thought
my
about
comment
it.
that.
I should do here and now, but yeah, my cartwheels have gotten better. We just do fun things. Like people take life so seriously, and we
Yes.
forget to have fun.
Yes. Yeah, we was taught that in positive psychology is to be, we call it, it's okay to be playful. Like, it's okay to be playful. Be playful with your partner, your friends, you know. But, yeah, some people just take it too seriously. And even when you try to be playful, people are like, what are you doing? Like, you know, just. like I was saying earlier about at the bar, not that person, but the other person at the bar.
Drink a lot.
It's like, relax. We're at a bar. We're here to just have fun and enjoy ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
but some people like, oh, you can't talk like that. You shouldn't say that about people. Like, oh my God, like, relax. We're at a bar. We're drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
This is what we do. But anyways, I love that. So, so with all your leadership qualities that you have now, your transformation, going back to relationships, right? Why you always laughing?
Because he didn't teach me about it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I'm about to ask you, like, how do you apply that stuff in a relationship? Because
Okay, so for me, like, so when I went through the whole thing, it was really letting go a lot of childhood trauma that I had that I didn't even realize I was still holding on and carrying. Mm-hmm. And then on this side, when I went through it, it was about like relationships. So people always ask me, do you want to be in a relationship? And I'm like, I'm not like dying to be in one if one happens. But I reflected on the last relationship I was in and was wondering like why it didn't work, what happened. And we always want to kind of like blame the other person. And it could be something that the other person did, but it was also how I was showing up in that relationship. So I really wasn't fully committed. Mm-hmm. So I was never going to have a fully committed relationship because I wasn't showing up fully committed. So, even though I wanted one, but I had my fears. Like
you had walls up.
My walls were up, not as much as they've been. I can say that, but my walls were up. I was very careful. I was judgmental of it, just like seeing things I saw. Right. And then I was just, I have to think of the word, but settling almost.
Okay. So pause that, right? So let's talk about that because my last relationship conversation, we was talking about walls. So my last relationship was really tough on me because I was like, you know what? I'm never going to be nice. And I'm going to be honest with you. Ever since our relationship, like I felt like I didn't give you 1,000% that I should have. Or let's just say 100% that I should have, right?
You don't want to give me 1,000?
You know what I'm saying? Like I should have, and I learned from that. And I always said, you know what? I'm going to be better. And I've always prided myself in being better. Like I was just more attentive, more just being the best partner I can be, right? Like that was my goal because I felt like that I wasn't the best with you. So I always said that, you know what? I'm gonna do better because because the tools I have now, that if I would have had, I tell people all the time, if I had the tools that I had now when we was together, we'll still be together. But I didn't have the tools back then. But now that I have them, you know, I really tried to use them in the relationship. So my last relationship, I really felt like I did everything like at my best, and then it didn't work out, and I was like, you know what? I'm never doing that again. I'm never giving my all, never doing this or that. But then after a week or two, you know, I think that whole like first week or two, everybody's angry, right? Everybody's mad, angry.
The first 2 weeks of the relationship?
No, at the end. Like when you break, after a breakup, like everybody's mad, like for however long period. So I was just angry. I was like, I'm never doing it again. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, that's not fair to the next person. Like it was on my walls, like, right. Even though like now I'm careful, but I try not to have walls up, even though I think I do, because I am being careful now. Like I'm talking to somebody now, but I'm trying to still be my authentic self. Like that's who I am. Like I love love. I love being in a relationship. Everybody knows this. And I don't think it's fair that I should say, okay, I'm not going to do all this stuff no more because what if this next person is that person that deserves it, right? So we're talking about walls and is it fair to have up walls because this person, new person, didn't do nothing to you to have these walls up?
So yeah, it's definitely not fair. Because you're not being your authentic self, because you have walls up. You're wearing a mask. So they don't get to see you. So that's usually when you're in a relationship, everything is so good because we show up with our walls, our mask on. And then the relationship gets real when you take the mask off and the walls come down. And then that's when we say, I didn't know who this person was. So I've learned that I get to show up authentically myself, whatever that looks like. so the person can see you from day one.
Right. That's how we all should be.
Yes.
But it's not like that.
It's not because it's hard, because we've been through stuff.
Right.
We've been cheated, lied, hurt.
Right. So, and like I said, I'm trying to be my authentic self, and I think for the most part I am. But there is just this little carefulness that I'm trying not to have. It was wall that I'm trying not to have up, and I'm trying not to settle as well. Because I can be honest with you, the last 2 relationships I felt like I settled. Like, even though I know, like today, I know exactly what I want. And I've turned down a couple of relationships just because I was like, nah, that's not going to work. I just know. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, I know energy. I feel energy. Like, I think me and you, like, we're both really into our energies. And we've been doing, like, all this training and practices. We know what we want. So it's not a bad thing. I can just sit down with someone for 15, 20 minutes and have a conversation with them. And I know, like, okay, we could be friends, but I know it's not going to go no further than this.
Right.
But some people get butthurt about that, and they,
Oh, wow.
Right. And I'm to the point where, like, I just don't care because I don't want to set one. Me and my boy Ness was just talking about this. I have more years behind me than in front of me. So I really don't have no time to settle. I really don't have no time for games. I don't want to go through any BS. Like, I just want what I want, and that's it, period. And if someone can't give me that, then I'm cool. I'm okay with it. Like, I understand. We just don't connect.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's just really voicing my opinion in my relationships, what I want, instead of being so passive. I'm here.
Right.
Just being clear on where we're going and not being afraid. And if that person says no, it's okay. Like you said, we're not sitting here wasting our time. My last relationship, we got along, we had fun, we joked, everything. I think we were just going with the flow with no vision. Like, we didn't know where we were going. We were just, there it was.
But okay, so is that okay to do until you know?
Well, I can only speak for me. I'm not going to be doing that no more. Like, I'm clear. I had another guy reach back out to me, and I'm like, why are you calling me? Like, what do you want from this? Are you trying to be in a relationship? So we were really clear from day one when he contacted me back. He didn't want to be in a relationship, so, like, I was clear. So, like, you don't get girlfriend benefits. You get Nina, the friend, benefits. So we're clear.
Right. I had one of those calls, too. And I was just like, no, I don't want to be a part-time lover. Like, I just don't. I wanted the whole thing, and if I can't have the whole thing, it's like I don't want a part-time. Like, that doesn't.
Like they say, you don't want to be a bookmark. To the person that comes.
I don't want to be on your schedule 2-3 months. Okay, I'll talk to you in 2-3 months when I'm available. Like, no, I'm not an option. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Too old for that.
Got to know your worth.
Exactly. So going back to your twos and everything, you use a lot of your twos and not experiences, but because we know that, but twos that you learned in your course in relationships now.
Yeah, I do. Well, I'm not in a relationship, but yeah.
No, but
yeah, in my relationships at work, I do.
But even, I guess, not pursuing a relationship, but if one will present itself, like you're using your twos to now know that, okay, if this is going to work or not, or if you're going to pursue it as well.
Yeah, so now I know how I get to show up with my walls down. I get to be loving, caring, fun, all those things that I want in my relationship, so that other person, like you were saying, you want to be safe. So for me, I would say, like, you are your safe space. We're always looking for something outside of us when it's inside. So I learned that. Someone asked me, they were like, gosh, you're always saying you want to create a safe space. Does something happen to you? And I'm like, no. I just feel like others around me don't feel safe and don't have anyone to go speak to, so I want to be that person. Because sometimes we always need someone to speak to, but they don't have anybody. So they were like, Nina, you are the safe space. And I was like, wow, you're right.
You should do your own podcast show.
No.
That was kind of fast.
What was fast? The no?
The no.
I don't even hesitate. I'm proud of myself. They'll tell me hesitation is a no. Sound clear? Honestly, I thought about it, but I always think about what I.
Okay, so what's your
what
fear?
would I talk about? What am I going to talk
I mean,
about?
with me, like your whole course that you just like you have. Aren't you on your second master's?
Ooh, slow down. I didn't have my first master.
I thought you were on your second one.
Now I got my bachelor's in sociology.
Okay, so you're on your master's though right now.
I haven't decided because in my
I thought
job,
you went back to school
I did. I just graduated from Arizona State University in December
for your bachelor's.
for my bachelor's.
Okay, but I thought you was already enrolled in for your master's.
Now I was thinking about it.
Okay.
You know, you get hyped up, and I just didn't really. To go back, I'm in a position at my job that I don't need a master's or anything like that. So if I go back to school, I want to be clear what I'm going back for. So
Okay,
a
so
lot of people, I was going to go back for social work because that's the field I'm in, but someone told me I should probably actually go into law because I'm a great advocator. So I was looking for something like that since I advocate a lot for our clients, like to learn the laws of housing and all that.
Okay. I'm in the same situation because I was offered a job, but she said I needed to be enrolled in to get my master's.
Yeah, because it's some
Just enrolled, not finished, but just as long as I'm enrolled.
some jobs do
Yeah.
require that, and some jobs like they'll pay for it.
Right.
But
But you still have a lot to talk about.
I do, I guess.
So what's the fear?
I don't know. don't use my tools against me.
Why?
It doesn't work that
Because
way.
it is a fear. Like it's a fear because you have so much to talk about
maybe
and
it's
you
a
have so
fear.
much to offer.
It's probably maybe more fear of commitment.
Think about it. You just said you want to create this space to where no one has people to talk to so they can come talk to you. What better spaces to have a show where now you can put all this information out on the internet now that it can live and anybody has access to it at any time?
Okay, you're going to produce it?
Of course, I'm producing all kinds of
Okay,
stuff.
well, we could talk about it.
Simple. And plus, so because your perspective is different than mine, but it's kind of almost the same. I think maybe a lot of the tools and everything are the same, just different terminologies.
Yeah, I think it's the same, and you're right, terminology, because they tell us don't go out in the world and use our lingo because no one's going to
Right.
understand it. Like, if I say, what's your fear, and you give me this whole thing, we call it a story. Like, I don't want to know about your story. I want to know what's really holding you back. But someone's like, they're not going to know what you're talking about. Story.
Right. So yeah, like so if I say my mind just went blank right now. If I'm doing something, like if I'm at home and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm reading a book and I have like meditation music playing in the background, like what is that called to you?
For me, that would be self-care because I love to read.
Just self-care?
Yeah. Self-care and meditation. It would be my self-care, my time that I'm pouring back into myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for us, it's called a jolt of joy.
Yeah.
So anything that gives you joy in a moment, like if you're having a bad day or something and you go grab your favorite Starbucks coffee and go walking down the street and just enjoying the fresh air, like that's a jolt of joy.
We call that grounded.
Okay, so see, but it's the same. That's the same terminology, right? Same
Terminology. You get grounded back into your why.
Yeah. So I understand that. So it's things. I guess if you're in that field, like you would, like if you said that, I would understand what you meant. I just call it something different, but I understand the concept of it. Because me and the lady that's offered me a job, she does ABA. Applied behavior analysis, and we was talking about even that's why she was like, man, I can hire you, because she was like, you're already doing the job, it's just different terminology, because me and her was comparing tools. So yeah, it's just terminology, it's all the same though.
It is.
Yeah. So in a relationship, what would you think, all right, start asking you some tough questions here. What would you think would be a tool that someone can use? Like, what would be the more generic tool that I think anybody can use to help in relationships?
Help like what?
Like help their relationship.
Help their relationship. Problem?
Yeah, like help their relationship be better.
One of my favorite tools that we use, we call it clearing.
Clearing?
Clearing.
Okay.
So,
I'm
say
assuming.
like in our relationship, you always work. You working. Always have to be out networking.
Right.
So I would say, Mike, may I have permission to clear with you? And you would say yes or no. And then I would say, because it's just how I feel, it's my own emotion. So then I would say, the story I'm making up in my head is that you don't want to spend time with me or your kids because you'd rather be out networking. And when you're out networking, I see you having fun, you're at the bar. However, like, we don't do that anymore as a, married couple. We don't go places with our kids. And then I would say, I don't know the real prompt, but I would say, what I'm requesting from you is that you create time for me as your wife. You create time for our kids.
Right.
And, so that we can still have our connection, a connection with our kids. And I would say, do you honor my request? And you would say yes or no. And then that would be it. Because we create these stories. You probably would love to be at home with us, but you have to go out and network.
Right.
Make connections so you can make money. Like, I get all that, but we don't communicate that way. And see, I don't, because it's my story. Hopefully, you didn't feel attacked.
Right.
Usually, we go and be like, "You're never home. You're not that." But if it comes from that place, it's easier for the other person to receive it.
Right. It's funny. Two things. One is just funny how you phrased that whole thing. It was more like a verbal contract. I felt like saying, "Well, can I have my attorney read this over?" Because you're saying, "Do you agree?" And I was like, "Well,
No,
wait
it
a minute."
says, "Do you honor my request?"
Yeah.
And
Do you
say,
honor the request? Yeah. No, I'm just saying it was just so formal the way you put it. But that's a form of communication. I mean, I think everybody will agree. Communication is definitely one of the top things that couples should use more, that we don't use more in relationships. Communication is very key. We call it something else. I was just thinking of a story. That's why I can't think of the name right now. Because that is a problem, right? I think in a lot of relationships, because I still get that to this day. People, because I know I used to do that with us. People always assume, because they see me out everywhere, right? And so they be like, "Mike, you be everywhere. You go out all the time." It's like, yes, but my agenda of going out is different than yours. You're going out to have fun. It looks like I'm having fun, which, my job is fun. And it's just my personal job. I build relationships. Like, for instance, the end of the school year, I was talking to this one teacher, and she had asked me, she was like, "Hey, because we were supposed to meet at the Yard House, for end of the year celebration." And she was like, "Are you going?" I was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to know who was going so I know who can be there." And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "But look," she was like, "if you ain't going, I ain't going." But she was like, "But I remember you telling me that because I am coming back next year, I should at least show face. It just shows that you're, still a part of the team, So that's what people don't understand. They see people out, but they don't understand why they're there. Some people really do go out just to show face, to show like, "Hey, I'm supporting you guys. I'm still here, whatever, whatever political, whatever. They're there to show face." And that's typically what I do. I typically go out to places and support the businesses, because I know most of these owners that own like these restaurants, clubs, and then bars and stuff. So I'll pop in every now and then and just show my support. And then they show me a lot of love in return. And again, it's just building relationships. That's how I've always built all my relationships. Like, I've never handed out business cards. I think I had a couple of business cards, but I've never did that. I've always felt being more personable, showing face, always being in front of somebody's face. Because you know how they had the phrase, "out of sight, out of mind." Well, I've always kept myself relevant by always being out there. So anybody ever talks about like podcasts out here, my name is going to be the first. Like back in the day, anybody talked about designs or web stuff, my name was always first in the industry. So it's just about just being in someone's face all the time, being relevant, staying relevant, just building relationships. So that's why most people think I just go out and have fun and hang out all the time. It's like, no, I'm at a spot for a reason, believe it.
Yeah. I hear that, but you get to learn how to be in the both and
Well, yeah, it's a balance.
with your family and work. And a lot of people get lost in their work.
They do.
And their family suffer from it, or their partner suffers
100%.
from it.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, and I see that, and I get that, and that's the hard part about why people. That's why, like me and a lot of my friends out here that have businesses and successful businesses, and they all agree. They all like, there's no such thing as work-life balance. When you own a company, like, it does consume a lot of your time, because when something goes wrong, and as in business, something is always going wrong. Just because you don't see it don't mean it's not happening behind the scenes. It falls on you, so you always have to take care of it. So that whole work-life balance, as an owner, like, it's great to have a work-life balance when you're working for somebody, because at the end of the day, when you clock out, yeah, go home, spend time with your family, do whatever. But when you're an entrepreneur, there's no such thing as that. It's really difficult to have that work-life balance.
Yeah, it is, but you get to create time for your family.
You do.
And that's...
But it's hard to create that time.
No, you make it hard. Because you're choosing. You had a whole conversation of choosing.
Yes. So, right. Okay, you're right. You can choose to ignore all these problems your business has and go to Magic Mountain or something, but now your business is failing. So
why would your business fail when you spend time with your family?
Because if there's always like an issue with the business, like employees can't do things the way you can. They don't care. You got employees that don't care about the business like you, because they just work there. They're just, again, showing up just for the check. So they don't care about the clients and all that.
Right. So I hear you say your employees are what?
What?
You say your employees are what? Because you're at Magic Mountain as an owner. And what do you say about your employees?
They don't care about the problems or the situations that's happening.
I thought you said, like, you can't trust them.
No.
To work like you. So do you train them?
No. Well,
or you just send them out?
Well,
there?
yeah. You definitely can't trust them to be you, because that's your business. That's not theirs. They don't care about, all the problems behind the scenes. Like, they just there for the check.
So remember we were talking about mirror?
Yeah.
Are you just there for the check?
No.
Because your employees are a mirror of you.
Yeah.
You just care about the check?
No.
Because I feel like you should be able to take a day off and trust your employees to take care of whatever.
You should.
So if you cannot, then it's something within you that your employees are not.
You're right. And this is why I'm a great lead, because I lead by example. I could take it there. Matter of fact, last week I did. I took 2 days off. Well, one day I went to Disneyland with the school, but the next day I took the day off, and I left 2 of my team members at the school to represent me and the team.
Right. So you created time to be with the school.
Yeah.
Either you can create time to be with your family.
Yeah.
Or your partner. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Did you make it seem like, if I
No.
did that, I would say I don't want to date someone who owns their business, because it's clear that they're not going to have time for me.
No,
as a
I'm just saying, it's difficult. Not saying it can't be done, because it can be done. It's just difficult. Like, I know this one guy, he owns a restaurant out here. He owns a restaurant in Santa Clarita, and he has a catering business. And he has all the time in the world. But it took him many years to get there, because he had to build this foundation. He had to build this team. So now he gets up like at 4 a.m. He has a team meeting. He goes to a couple of locations. But by 10 a.m., he has the rest of the day to do whatever he wants. And you could just see him just rolling around.
Because he has created.
He created that.
Trust and all that he
Right.
needs in employees.
But
That's
it took a long time to do that, though. So I'm saying, that's why I say it's difficult to do it. I'm not saying it can't be done, because it can be done. That's why you see most millionaires and CEOs talking about creating financial wealth, creating freedom. Yeah, that's the goal, is to create freedom so you can do all these things. But it takes a long time to create that.
I know, that's unfortunate, because then they miss out with their partner and their kids,
right,
because they don't know when they're ever going to get it.
Yeah, no,
and that's what I'm
right.
saying. Their focus is more on the check.
Right. And, well, yes. But because they live a certain lifestyle, that without that check, they won't have that lifestyle. So it's that aspect too.
I'm like, it's an excuse. They're hiding behind their work. Something that doesn't want them there with their partner.
Well,
or their kids.
I've seen that scenario too.
It's just reality. That's what it is.
I've seen that scenario where they don't want to be with their family. They just, here's the money, here's the check,
and
go
they
do
say,
something.
I got to do this, I got to do that.
Yeah, I mean, But yeah, so it depends on the
And that's why
family
you
we're
have
talking
that
about.
conversation so that the partner or whoever is not creating their own story when you have different intentions.
Right. We're both right.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Okay. Back to relationships. Do you believe everybody heals differently?
Yes.
And in that healing process, what do you think? What do you think is the most important thing to do in that healing process?
What do you mean the most important thing to do?
To do like in a healing process, like let's say you just came off of a bad breakup. Now you need time to heal. Obviously, everybody heals differently. Everybody healing time is differently. I believe most people keep saying, "Yeah, don't date again for 2 years." I think someone said that's the average time is 2 years, which I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I think everybody's time is different.
Yeah.
It's whatever you feel, whenever you feel okay, comfortable about going out there.
Yeah, that's our question. If we're going to say everybody's healing is different, I can't say like what's the most important. One thing I would definitely say is, can't even say that because I won't know why the relationship ended.
Well, yeah. So there's a lot of different factors, but what's the most common thing that someone should do in that time, though?
I don't know. Do what they find joy in. I can't say go to therapy. I don't want to say, like you said, take 2 years. Really, probably reflect on that relationship, why it did or what didn't work, and what in you worked and didn't work in that relationship. Meaning, like, I didn't show up 100% committed, so how would I expect that relationship to work? Or, well, I did show up 100%, so why didn't it work? What was it about that person that didn't work? And take ownership, mainly. If it was your fault, take ownership of it. If it wasn't, don't self-sabotage yourself and beat yourself up. I wasn't worth it or this and this. Sometimes we beat ourselves up after a breakup.
So let me ask you this question. That was a great response, by the way. It was actually the response I was looking for. So when you're asked a question, is your first thought is that you're unsure of the answer?
My first thought,
Yeah.
when you ask me a question, am I unsure?
Yeah. Are you unsure of the answer?
No. I'm an analyzer, so I analyze.
Okay.
And when I respond, I want to make sure it's clear.
Okay. So
I'm not unsure of my answer. I'm
Okay.
confident in my answer.
You're confident? Okay. So by you saying you don't know, is that you just taking time to analyze? Is that like a filler? Because you just said, I asked you a question and you said, I don't know. But you gave this perfect answer.
So when I said I don't know, so I'm not speaking in general. When I know is when I speak from I. Like, I know what I would do.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. From mine, I will look at what worked and didn't work.
Right. Okay.
And what worked and didn't work in that person.
That makes sense.
Versus trying to be a collective answer.
Okay.
As a collective answer, I could be like unsure because it's so many different answers.
Right, because it depends on the situation.
Exactly.
Okay.
I get that a lot. Why are you so hesitant? Because I don't.
No, but
Because they were saying
I
your
guess-
voice matters, and I know it matters, but like
no, and
when we were going around the room saying like what our superpower was, for me, I was saying caring because I know I'm a very caring person. But someone was like, no, you're very grounded. You're a grounded person. And the main coach, she was going to say something. I'm like, I'm dry. And she was like, no, why would you say that? And I was like, see, this is why I don't just blurt out stuff. I take my time and think about the question. Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. But you gave two great answers, even with your explanation of why you said you don't know. Like that was a great answer that I would have responded to.
Okay.
You analyzing right now?
Probably.
I see. You know, sometimes I have to pause and let you
Think.
finish and think because you come up with these great answers. So I was just like, okay.
I just learned that about myself that I'm analyzing.
I've been on that.
I just grasped and owned that I'm a supporter.
You're a supporter?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what that means?
A supporter?
Yeah. That I support, and sometimes I get caught up in the people pleasing because I want to be so supportive
I know what that
of
means.
someone. Yeah, but I did not want that because I didn't like supporters. So that means I didn't like myself.
But you know what though? That's one thing that you've always been great at. Even when we was married, like you was always a great supporter of mine.
Yeah, I know. Then I didn't, but now I'm like, okay, I get
You
it.
said then you didn't?
You like I refer to myself more as a cheerleader. Then I realize I'm always in support of someone else versus myself.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
My big transformation is knowing that everything I do for others, I don't do for myself.
Right.
So that's what I'm practicing and learning and getting comfortable with is
I think
taking care of myself.
Yeah, no, I think I'm the same way too now. Even though I'm still my authentic self, still being the loving person and caring and doing a lot. But I am learning to do for me first. And if I have anything left, then I'm okay. I'll help you, whatever. But yeah, I'm all about doing for me first. And if I'm not okay with it, I'm not gonna do it. So yeah.
Okay.
So what's next for you, Miss Nina?
What's next for me is
What's next for you?
taking a break.
From what?
From being just so heavily in transformation and really embracing it and
You have been doing a lot.
embodying it is my next, is actually embodying all this stuff that I'm learning and owning it. And for that means really showing up in my personal life and at work. At work, I've been really distracted. That's what I'm saying for you. It's like learning how to live in the both and. That me putting so much effort into myself, my work has suffered a little because I really haven't been paying too much attention to work. Like I'm half-ass showing up to work. So like this weekend, I'm creating trainings, how I want my staff to be, how they should show up to work. I don't like to have, I tell them I don't have expectations. I do have standards. So just making sure that they're meeting those standards. So really leading and creating future leaders. That's what I tell them. When I interview, I'm like, I want to hire leaders because our company is growing. And I want to know that they want to be leaders too. And it's not going to look easy. It's going to be hard. So yeah, right now it's just creating strong leaders at my job and instilling that in my kids, our kids.
And your kids are kids?
My kids are kids, always will be kids.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
But they love you.
I know.
You said you know.
I do. They watch me.
They watch you? What do they watch you do?
Actually, they watch me do everything, but they track me. I bet you Kira right now is tracking me if I'm at your house or if I'm at a studio.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
Hello?
What's up, man?
And nothing.
So you are live on the air of my podcast, and guess who I have on as a guest?
Who?
Your mother.
Oh.
You want to say hi to Mom?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mikey.
What are you doing?
Watching YouTube?
You watching, what are you watching on YouTube?
Somebody playing video games?
Oh, okay.
Did you hear him?
Yeah, somebody playing video games. How's your day been?
Good.
Yeah. Did you eat good this morning?
Huh?
Did you eat good this morning?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious to know what you ate, and the whole world is listening right now. So they're curious to know, what did your mom fix you for breakfast before she left to come on this show?
Some orange chicken and some rice.
Orange chicken and some rice?
Yes.
Why are you giggling? You and your mom just to giggle. Like that's where you get it from. Just so you know, if you ever ask why you giggle a lot, so I get that from my mom. Because that's all she's been doing all day today.
Breathe, Mikey, breathe.
Yeah, breathe. What's your plans for the rest of the day?
I don't know.
Don't know yet. Just relaxing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, buddy. I was just calling just to mess with you for a minute because I had her on the show right now, and we about to wrap up. Just wanted to say hi.
All right.
Because your mom said that I work too much and I don't make time for the kids, so I'm saying hi.
Okay.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
That was fun. You guys giggle so much. I don't know where you get that from.
Joy.
All right, so you said what's next for you? Just taking a break?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can't take a break because
I know.
my way of being.
You know what? Because, I mean, no, it's a choice.
It's a choice, but consistency.
See, that's the thing. And I know we're about to wrap it in a minute, but that's the thing, right? By what I mean by when you're an entrepreneur or you're like even like a big leader, right? Consistency is key. Like, and that's why I said it's just difficult to do, to balance that work life, right? Not saying it's impossible, but it is difficult. It's something that you have to learn to do. You have to train your body and your mind to do because you do want that consistency, and you want that consistency in both worlds. But it's just difficult to do sometimes. That's a hard task. But I do believe more people need it. I know I need it, but like I said, it's that consistency that you want to do because that consistency does make you better.
Yeah, because it's a lifestyle. It's a choice.
Anyways, thank you, Nina. I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Proud of you. You're a great mom. You're a great leader. You're a great human.
Thank you. That was my goal.
To be a great human?
Yes.
Okay. You succeeded. You succeeded. Anyway, that's it. Anything you want to say?
No, thank you.
Anything you want to share?
No.
No? All right. Next time we come on here, we're going to talk about Nina. I'm going to have her back, y'all. She just don't know it. But we're going to talk about how you used to be and the difference, what you learned from it, how you learned from it, and why you was like that. So I'm giving you context now.
Okay.
And then we're gonna create a show for her. So it's gonna be like a spinoff. We're gonna do one more show like similar to this, but what I just talked about. Then we're gonna spin it off into her own show. See how that works? I'm a great producer. I know. But check us out, y'all. Releasing this show on Monday. But until then, you guys have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Thank you again. Appreciate you. And we out.
Thank you. Appreciate you too.